In today's episode, I have an honored guest, Dr. Elizabeth Davidson. We are going to discuss topics about this healthcare system that has been broken, and she lives in a yurt in Vermont with her teen daughter, Elena. Well, that's the Spanish pronunciation of Elena. Thank you, Elizabeth, for being here, for being the guest of my podcast. And I'm really excited to talk about your story, your trajectory. So let's begin with that. How did you arrive to this journey of healthcare?
Well, it's been my entire life journey. So I was a really sick kid, and every time I took one, I wound up with more symptoms. So in that process, of course, helping lots of other people solved those, but feeling like,
Did your parents support that, or what was the intuition or the? I mean, for me, at 10 years old, it's very young. It's you're a child, and how did you manage to relate the medication to what's happening to you, how you feel, no, and the way the energy that you have, etc. No, other many other symptoms that you discuss that you have.
well, the first thing I did was I started changing my diet. So I started
Mm.
doing elimination diets, even though I don't even know if anyone had come up with that term at that point. I had never heard that term. It's not what I called it then, but I remember just cutting out one food at a time and seeing if I felt different. So really, I started experimenting on myself, looking around at what plants were out there in the yard and finding the medicinal ones. It's something I've always been fascinated with. And just thinking about health in a different way. And you know, from staying healthy with the seasons, there's an article in there about sugar and all the havoc that it wreaks on health. So I was reading that when I was like stuff like that. So it's just kind of a progression of learning a lot, reading a lot. I've always loved to read. And you know, our current system seems to think that health comes from the outside. Like you have to go to a doctor to help you get healthy, and then they're going to find what's wrong with you and then fix that, and that's health. I'm like, oh, well, it comes from inside me. Like all of my health is in here. I have all of that. So what do I do to support that? So it's just a perspective shift rather than looking at, and
Mhm.
so we have a lot of fear around our bodies and our health and our power that we have to heal. Um,
The problem by giving a pill, by memorizing medications, by memorizing the symptom, and just that. They know the symptom, they know what kind of pill they have to give you, but they don't know what is happening in the body. So that she also learns how to manage her own health, if you've been able to, of course.
and she'd never had anything with food dye in it before. And I didn't really think about it. You know, it was just, it was a birthday cake. And it wasn't like, you know, we have some honey and maple syrup because we live in Vermont. So she's never really gotten much for symptoms because the fever takes care of things. And yeah, it's not like she loves having a fever, but she understands that it's the best medicine that her body's making. Very healthy, very grounded. She doesn't have any like screen addictions or anything like that. She doesn't eat sugar, and it's all by her own choice. And with her, you know, taking such good care of herself, those genes for like all the chronic stuff that I've dealt with, it's never gotten turned on for her. So she's, for my daughter, is, you know, taught her like how her body works and like the structure of it and the processes that are happening within it. And I feel like once you have an understanding of those processes, which I didn't get until I was in medical school, you know, and I'm studying biochemistry, I'm like,
And how other children or people their own age are handling their own lives. So in terms of that, and the one that she always wanted, because she now is connected with nature, she's now free to do many things that she couldn't do when she was a child. She had a very traumatic childhood, She doesn't mention about what, but I can imagine that it can be very traumatic for many people. And
Oh, so many thoughts. But one thing that you said is that connecting with nature. I actually recently did a YouTube video about that. And one of the things that are, keeping that connection strong, there's so many other pieces to it, like getting your feet on the ground, being in the fresh air. We tend to live very inside lives a lot of the time and be associating with screens so much, which we're doing right now. But so that's a big piece. As far as aging goes, so many symptoms are blamed on aging. And so if you keep building yourself up as you get older, then you should keep getting healthier. I know that I know it works for me. Like this has been my project my entire life, and it's paying off now in my 40s. Like that each day. And so to start shifting that mindset. And so a lot of, helping people reach a new level of health is really just changing their thinking and their habits rather than and for so many people, if they just got one more hour of sleep, it would solve so many of their problems. So those are two places where I start is mindset and then teaching people better sleep habits. And then
mm,
we work on other things like their gut health and their nutrition and, other
let's say for people to fit in a wedding dress or in a 15.
educating the people so that more people can educate more people. And that's why I created my program so
Mhm.
I think because doctors, they're going to be looking for something wrong that they can treat, but it can be for someone who's already a holistic health professional or someone who wants to be a holistic coach. It'll give them all the training that they need in order to help others build health.
Today that I went to do exercise again, I said, "Oh my God, I feel like it's already January." And I'm ending also December. So it's so funny how a good night of sleep or just 2 nights of good sleep, more than 8 hours, of course.
Yeah, that's funny that what you were saying about the exercise. Today it's like I have to take the day off. I have to let my body rest. Like not gonna ski today. I'm not going out in the snow. So odd too that so many of our celebrations involve sugar and alcohol and staying up late, which are all such bad things for you. New Year's Eve is coming up, and my daughter's been invited to babysit New Year's Eve, and she's like, but so many people also are like skipping lunch, or they're not getting enough sleep, then they're skipping lunch or just having a salad for lunch, and then wondering why they're tired at 3 p.m. and then having coffee. And then, of course, that's going to throw off their sleep because the half-life of caffeine it's a lot bigger than you think. And so there's still caffeine in their systems still. I mean, if they have coffee at 3, they still have caffeine in their systems at 3 a.m. Open a lot up for people. So any way that I can find someone being aware of what their body's doing, even if they're, let's take a step back. Your pain isn't because of a lack of ibuprofen. Why are you having pain? And so always looking at the why behind the,
It's just a changing of the perspective of seeing things and understanding things, of course. And it's going to complain. At some point, it's going to say enough because you don't seem to listen. So I will give you a sign, which is the symptom, because we don't have time many times, and we end up in those cycles.
it's really good to pay attention to your health before you lose it. I think that is a really important way to help process emotions in a healthy way. So between gut health, vitamin D, and getting good sleep, like most people can turn that around without any medications, especially, finding that activity that you like to do. Lots of them are. And I believe that medications and supplements should be short term for a purpose. I think our bodies are doing the best they can with the information they're given. I think the input can be a lot better a lot of the time, but they're doing the best they can with what they have. So
Mhm.
the big shift that I'm looking to create in the healthcare system is that it's all about building health. Like even when people talk about preventative care, I'm like, yeah, my website is drelizabethdavidson.com. The DR is, it's not spelled out doctor, just DR. You can find me on Instagram and on Facebook. And I have a YouTube channel that I've actually been working pretty hard on lately. Again, it's Dr. Elizabeth Davidson. So there's a lot of videos on there that people can watch. And I'm always happy to answer questions and